Even the lilies of the field are adorned and prosper. You've created us in your image. Let your gifts abundantly fill our cups until they overflow. Bless us with the riches of righteousness and the prosperity of faith, so that our treasure will be stored up in heaven. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the
flag
flag
of the
of the
United
United States of America
and to the
and
republic
to the republic
for
for which it stands,
one nation,
one nation,
under God, indivisible,
indivisible, with
and
liberty
justice for
and
all.
justice for all.
Janice, if you could call the roll quickly, please.
Mr. Allison.
Here.
Mr. Mackey.
Here.
Mr. Pelisi.
Here.
Mrs. Katz.
Here.
Mr. Yoder.
Here, and we've got a quorum.
Non-present is Ms. Neely and Mr. Price.
All right, we got a quorum of 5, 2 remote, 3 in person. Item 3, approval of city council meeting minutes from July 7th, 2022. Is there a motion and a second?
So moved.
So moved.
Motion and a second. Any comments or questions related to the minutes?
No.
Hearing and seeing none, Mrs. Frank on the motion to approve the minutes, please.
Mr. Allison.
Yes.
Mr. Mackey.
Yes.
Mr. Pelisi.
Yes.
Mrs. Katz.
Yes.
Mr. Yoder.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Item 4, limited courtesy to the floor. We've had no requests tonight. We'll move to item 5. Mrs. Frank, if you would read that, please.
Resolution to authorize city treasurer finance director to settle business privilege tax and/or mercantile tax.
Is there a motion and a second?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. I'll turn it over to our new treasurer, Kevin Mackey.
He's not here.
He's not there. Okay. All right. Well, this was discussed in finance. Randy, do you mind speaking to the discussion in finance?
Yes, we did. This is a regular occurrence. It's kind of the cleanup, collecting outstanding business. I'm reading from the resolution now. In order to enable the city to collect outstanding business taxes efficiently and in the interest of preserving the legally mandated confidentiality of said matters, City Council of the City of Williamsport hereby promulgates the following policy. We're granting to the city's finance director and treasurer settle those outstanding collections that haven't been done yet. So there isn't an amount yet because the process has to work its way through. So what this does is just enable them and make it legal for them to pursue it through legal means. The collection of any business taxes owed to the city. So it's standard fare when collections get to this point. And it was a very short discussion because it's a legal matter that just works its way through the system.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Allison. Are there any other comments or questions from other members of council on the resolution in front of us?
No.
Okay, hearing and seeing none, Mrs. Frank on the motion, please.
Mr. Allison.
Yes.
Mr. Mackey.
Yes.
Mr. Pelisi.
Yes.
Mrs. Katz.
Yes.
Mr. Yoder.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Item 6, Mrs. Frank.
Resolution authorizing a consultant agreement between the city of Williamsport and Barry Isaac and Associates.
Is there a motion and a second?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. I'll turn it over to Mayor Slaughter. Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening, Council President Yoder, Vice President Katz, member of council and administration. Before you tonight, you have a resolution authorizing a consultant agreement between the City of Williamsport and Barry Isett and Associates Incorporated. This came about due to the retirement of Joe Girardi. He was our only building code official in the city, so in the interim period here, we are in need of a BCO. And I reached out to a few different ones. Barry Isett came highly recommended, and they easily have the capacity to handle the BCO requirements during this interim period here until we're able to fill that position with a full-time person. They have offices all over the Commonwealth, and I believe they work with somewhere in the neighborhood of 110 municipalities offering a variety of services related to codes. There was some discussion during the Finance Committee meeting on Tuesday about their suite of services and if there was any talk about utilizing them to handle any training with current codes department employees and also the individual once we bring them on in the full-time capacity. I had not talked with Barry Isett representatives prior to that, but we did have a brief conversation on that, and I think we agreed that that's probably a good idea if that opportunity presents itself. We do have two representatives here from Barry Isett and Associates, and then obviously they'll be able to answer any questions you may have as well. This was reviewed in finance. Yeah, this was reviewed in finance. I almost said reported, but we didn't do that this time.
Thank you, Mayor Slaughter. Mr. Allison, you care to speak to the discussion in finance?
Yes, we did review this and talked mostly about the scope of of their services. It's a very narrow and specific duty that they're going to fulfill, which is that of the building code official, which previously only Mr. Girardi held. So he represented, or he functioned as the building code officer for every time it's needed within the city code department. But we didn't have a secondary or a backup. So in the interim, this firm will supply that function. It's not expected to be, it's definitely not going to be an everyday thing. The building code official deals mostly with construction projects and it has to get the final approval on it for it to go forward because they're certified. I believe there's 1,000 in the whole Commonwealth that are certified at that level. So our task in the interim is to get somebody trained to do that particular service. It's important to note that the cost of the service is going to be $90 per hour. But if you look in the service agreement, the client, which is us, shall not reimburse ISIT for any travel-related time or expenses, mileage, meal tolls in connection with their performance of these services. So there's no hidden costs along with that $90 per hour, which is nice. Multiply the hours by the $90, and you get service that you get a firm idea of what you're going to spend. The other thing I would note is that there's 5 other third-class cities that they work with and have worked with, and they're the city of Bethlehem, Allentown, Hazleton, Easton, Lancaster. So they're all larger municipalities than us. Along with that, they do a lot of townships and boroughs. So they have a lot of experience, a lot of good reviews, and they have a great firm that is pretty deep with experienced people. So it's a good mix for us to do in the interim. That's pretty much the scope of the discussion we had. The point was brought up, if we could use them for training to get somebody. That person has to go through a process, they have to take a test. It's not a short process.
But if they don't already have to be.
Yeah, if they don't already have it. So we did talk about having 2 people certified, so if there was one guy tied up with the out for a while, if we had somebody.
Yes, I did meet with union representatives. They have a preliminary conversation to make sure we don't find ourselves in a situation again that always have 2 BCOs on staff.
And there was no vote on this under the current circumstances. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Allison. Are there any comments or questions from the members of council? Bonnie, I see you have your hand up.
Yes, I'm sorry, Randy. It's at times it's very difficult to hear everything that's said. So if I'm asking a question that you've already answered, I apologize ahead of time. With this company, are they going to be responsible for getting all the permits that are required for anything that's being done in the city? Second of all, are they also going to manage the department until the position is filled? Because there's a lot of work going on in the city as far as houses being done and things like that we don't want to get permits lost in that interim. So is this company going to be responsible for these things?
Yes, so they will handle the new construction permits, certificate of occupancy, plan review. For example, T. Ross Brothers, I spoke with them today. They're waiting on their permit until we have BCO, West Pharmaceuticals, things of that nature. So we do have, so what we've done, Gary Nard and Robin Adams in the codes office, they have all the documentation, they have everything ready to go. Pending council approval tonight, we will get these items to Barry ISET for their review, and then hopefully, obviously, subsequently get the permit issued to the various entities that are going to start this construction. As far as managerial duties, not necessarily. They'll work with the codes officers, of course. Right now, I had a conversation with Gary Nard, and he has graciously accepted to sort of oversee the department during its interim. But Barry ISET, being the BCO, if they do see some things that they need to point out, or they notice something that maybe one of our codes officers has missed during any of these processes that are reviewed by the BCO, they will point that out, let us know. Obviously, they're not going to sign off on anything that's incorrect. But as far as the day-to-day managerial duties, that'll be myself, not so much, but Gary Nard will handle that here in the interim, and hopefully in the not too distant future, we will have a replacement. We do have some potential candidates that we're interviewing, but again, an interim Barry ISET will fill in. To your point, Councilwoman Katz, so that we have a number of construction projects that are ready to begin. So this will keep those moving forward until we have a full-time BCO on staff.
That was my only concern, to make sure that we're not going to lose any of our permit money that comes through, and also to make sure that somebody's keeping track of everything that's going on. And as you said, this company is not going to do the management. You and Gary Nora are the ones who are going to be seeing where people go and what has to be done during the course of the day. There has to be a boss overlooking everybody. We do have rentals that are for inspection and things like that you don't want to get lost, that you don't want to lose traction in any of this. So these are the things that when I looked at this, these are the questions that came to my mind.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, Mrs. Katz. Yeah, I would just add, I mean, I think that in the interim, this is certainly a good solution. And I'd be interested to see what we take from this, and if this is something that might yield some fruit in more of a long-term manner. I know that we've in the past couple of years when we've gone through budget, this is something that we've openly and not so openly talked about exploring as we try to manage through our budget deficit and all those related items. And so I'm glad to see us at least exploring this in the short term. And Mayor Slaughter, I'm anxious to see what you learn or see how this might work in a more long-term fashion. So good to see. Good to see. Any
And
other?
if I could add to that for a second, Mayor, I'm really happy that this is a company that works in other areas, that maybe we can pick up some pointers on how things should be done, maybe. There's always room for improvement in any department, and I think we all realize that. And I think this is, when it came to this department, budget times, they were always the least amount of our worry with the budget. They just, they stayed status quo. I want to make sure that that they are now going to be, able to function and do what they have to do and accomplish everything that has to be done in our city at this point. Thank you.
I'll just add, I don't know, there's two representatives on, I didn't know if they had anything to add to the discussion.
Any other comments or questions from other members of council on the resolution in front of us? Okay. Hearing and seeing none, Mrs. Frank on the motion, please.
Mr. Allison.
Yes.
Mr. Mackey.
Yes.
Mr. Pelisi.
Yes.
Mrs. Katz.
Yes.
Mr. Yoder.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Item 7, except for filing the Finance Committee meeting minutes from June 7th and June 21st, 2022. Is there a motion and a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments or questions related to the minutes for accepting for filing? Hearing and seeing none, Mrs. Frank on the motion, please.
Mr. Allison.
Yes.
Mr. Mackey.
Yes.
Mr. Pelisi.
Yes.
Mrs. Katz.
Yes.
Mr. Yoder.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Item 8, announcements. There will be a police pension board meeting immediately following the city council meeting. Our next regularly scheduled city council meeting will be held on Thursday, August 11th at 7 p.m. Trade and Transit 2. Upcoming meetings: Wednesday, July 27th, 11:30, our Redevelopment Authority. Monday, August 8th at 4 p.m., our Recreation Commission. Tuesday, August 9th, 11:30 a.m. Public Safety, 12 p.m. Planning Commission, 1 p.m. Finance Committee, 2:30 p.m. Public Works, 4 p.m. Transit Oversight Committee. Wednesday, August 10th, 9 a.m. Economic Revitalization. And there's an O&E pension meeting at 3:30 p.m. And next Thursday, August 11th, is our city council meeting at 7 p.m. Item 9, comments. Are there any comments from members of city council this evening? Okay, hearing and seeing none. Any comments from the administration?
No.
Okay. Any comments from members of the public? Randy, John, Vince, if you can just, yeah, or
No.
no. Any comments from the news media? I presume not, but